they do not things as far as you have it. So I mean, it's like really we all engineers. Next, team here. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Bring your work, bring your teaching to the rest of King's College.
Amen. We need to take back to the very last slide last time when we can start on that. See, doing any research, the first problem that you encounter is how to select a good topic for your research. Sometimes it takes unbelievably long time to think about the topic that you really want to study. And once you get a topic, you have to define your research problem very clearly. Otherwise, you cannot do it effectively, because really you're not clear with what you want to do. How can you do it clearly? It's very difficult. So I'd like to share with you this morning how to select a research topic. And unless that you have a plan in your head, you don't really know what you want to write about, what you want to study about, what you want to do research about. That may give you some ideas. You know what it is? We would start with the library, of course. Now you can start online. Very easy. I tried it last night and the night before to ask the AI to help me selecting the appropriate topic in the field of study that I want to do. But anyway, let's assume that there is no AI. You have to ask yourself what you really want to do, what you really want to study, what you really want to write about in the thesis. You see, you can start with the first rule of scientific effort. You have to observe. You must have a keen observation, things that you want to do. Let's take an example of say Thailand. I shared with you a little last time that we have a very small attended Christian population in the country, less than 1%. This is the only country in ASEAN, and probably one of the two countries in Asia that has a Christian population less than 1%. We are still praying for 1 million. We'll be praying for a long time, but hoping that someday the Lord will answer. In spite of all the planning, the organized effort of all the Christian organizations, the Christian population in Thailand is still growing very, very slowly. Why is that the case? You can figure out why is that the case. You can speculate why is that the case. That will become your hypothesis of your research. So if this is in line with your interest, your research interest, you can start, picking topic like church growth in Thailand and look from outside. Okay, if you look from, outside Thailand, from Christian outside Thailand, it may give a better picture than looking from inside. Sometimes it will see all. You know that Thailand is the best place for evangelism. It's almost an ideal. That's why there are so many missionaries coming to Thailand, and we have a limited slots for the missionary visa. It has never increased, even in the past, like 30, 40 years. We remain the same. Under the EFD, we have the missionary visa about 700, which means including the family, the wife and children, probably 1,500. But in reality, I don't want to say, but in reality, there are many individuals coming to Thailand with different types of visa, not individuals. They can come in as tourists. And this is interesting. You don't have to learn language. You don't have to adjust yourself to the culture, to the food. You just come with money and collaborating with the local pastors, and then you start. That's it. But anyway, let's say that if this is your interest to write this about, it is quite acceptable. Church growth in Thailand. A look from outside. And then you can start formulating your hypothesis by that yes, you can be the objective. The study is so and so, and you want to find out why it is growing very slow. And then you can say the benefits, expected benefit to gain from this study. It could be a subheading under the topic. So when you want to write a thesis, you would probably have to come up with what we call a thesis proposal. Proposal is the thing that you want to do. So you start with a topic, you clarify the problems that you want to study, you set the objectives of your study, and you set the scope of your study. In this church growth case, you may want to study only the Protestant Christians, not the Catholics. So that will limit the work up within Christian population. And you can formulate a hypothesis. Let the professor know, what is your speculation. That why is that the case? This is important. And then you can specify the method of data collection and the method of data analysis. If you have done these things, it would complete the thesis proposal for your case. You submit this to the professor, and if he agrees with you, you just go ahead and according to the proposal, according to plan. There are some points to consider when you selecting a topic. You can show a slide of points to consider. Is that well, you should avoid the controversial issue. For example, sensitive issues and national security. You should avoid criticizing other religions. Probably a topic of sexual behavior and sexual preferences is not a good place to start, because you would arouse so many debates and so many criticisms. For example, if you're not Muslim, you do this is about criticism of Islam. You can imagine. So avoid sensitive and controversial issues. Next one, please. Oh, this one is interesting. Problems that can be answered by common sense. You don't have to do this. Put an example like that. If you want to ask the question why there is more traffic jams at the intersection, you don't need to do research. This is an unknown fact. Or sometimes man, flying in helicopter and get observation all over Bangkok. You like to do research on the traffic of Bangkok, how to avoid, how to solve the problem. But he reported that from his observation, there seems to be more traffic at an intersection. This is the fact all over. You don't need to do research. Or perhaps issues that cannot be answered by empirical research. And then you would you try to work on the spiritual world. You try to prove the existence of heaven and hell. We know that there are heaven and hell. But if you want to prove it through research, it won't work. So one try. It's just with a lot of time and effort and do that. And from it will be good if I can move my slides but anyway now it's just you I have to ask you okay now exercise number 1 at this particular moment I would like all of you to think about your research. Just think that if you want to do research, if you want to write a research about what would that be, the topic of your interest. What is it that you really want to do? When you write a statement of the problem, about 2 to 3 paragraphs stating that why you need to study. And then you try to come up with an interesting topic or title of this research. And there can be your real title of your thesis. Can you do that? Perhaps before you leave your mind, you can take home with you the research on topic that you want to work on for your master degree program or whatever graduate program that you want to entering. So this exercise 1, it is a good place to start. It took me a year when I changed my professor to think about the next topic that I'm going to do. I prepare myself so well from Thailand. I went to the US and then I submit the proposal. I couldn't find any professor to work with me on that particular topic. So finally I had to change. So when I changed, I had to think about it. It took me almost, because you have to think through, when you select this topic, how you're going to go about it. That's the problem. And you do that. I tried last night to ask the AI to help me or suggest some topics for theological research for me. And I have it in front of me and again just put it on the screen before we get into the this is what AI can do it for you in less than a minute. Just give you an idea, but you cannot 100% or totally rely on, because if you keep asking them to elaborate each topic, it won't give very much good answer to you. This is the Christology. You can work on, the doctrines of Christ. Exploration of the historical context and evidence surrounding the life and teaching of Jesus. Or contemporary Christological debates, modern interpretation and controversy related to the nature and significance of God. You can go through, I think you all have this one. Yes. Biblical studies, church history, another topic that you can choose from. Systematic theology, ethics and Christian morality. It's our life, no choice, debate, issues of abortion, LGBTQ. Little controversial, but if you want to work on it as a master degree thesis, it is acceptable in ethics and Christian morality. Practical theology. liberation theology. Shall a Christian participate in the liberation movement of the country? Interfaith dialogue and ecumenism, and Christianity and science. So all of these are just suggested topics. If you like it, keep asking AI to regenerate and then you can come up with something. But if you want to submit, let's say, submit the whole thesis proposal, I did that also on the church growth in Thailand. I sent it to him. That's the whole thesis proposal, not only the topic. So they give me objective of the study, the expected benefit gain from this research, the hypothesis, the method of data collection, and method of data analysis. And then you can just submit it to your professor. And this is my thesis proposal. And listen for his comment. And then you're done. You don't have to wait the whole year to come up with proposal like this anymore. There are both sides. It can be good assistance. It can be bad because it makes you lazy, not want to work hard on this research. So what do you think? Any question that you would like to ask pertaining to this topic and selecting the topic to work on for your research?
I don't have a sound person here, so I don't know whether this is being recorded, but never mind. Since you asked the question, we had a discussion yesterday with the team, and we came up with the idea that perhaps this lesson that you have begun may be the most revolutionary, the most groundbreaking for this season, not just for King's College, but for every college, because of the groundbreaking innovation in technology using AI that was not there 4 years ago when we were doing our degree program. And so naturally we asked ourselves, in what way could AI be enhancing student research and contribution to society? And we remember a phrase that we used in modality training for hardware. The scaffolder who was the guide by the side and not the sage on the stage. It came up with this thought that perhaps AI could be the guide by your side to make you the sage on the stage. The idea that in no way would artificial intelligence be able to replace the elemental truth within us. This was what we have discussed as a group during the break time. We appreciated the break as well because it allowed the tech team to actually catch up with where
See, AI would be suitable tools when you want to select a topic, and when you want to do some literature reading, because they can do it better than, and you spend perhaps weeks or months in library, and then this technology. In the case of the church growth in Thailand, I asked AI to come up with the literature review And they compile 6 or 7 books and then summarize key points for you. And then see if it suits your interest or not. Anyway, you can make use of that. And I don't think that the professor would mind, because it helps you to do work better with the help of AI. So selecting a topic can be helpful with AI can be helpful. And doing the literature review can also be helpful. And so please, if you want, you can go up, you can go back today and then start searching what kind of topic I want to write. And what are the related research works concerning this or relating to this topic. And then ask the AI to summarize 3 points for you. For example, like how to coding yesterday, she said you would like to do something that you phrase like redemption. You know how many pieces of work has been written on this topic, redemption? You have no idea. There's so many options. Say I can just do it like this, and then tips on those literature. So two things. Topics. But the topic itself, you have to be clear. Good topic should be specific. Should not be too broad. If it has to be too narrow, it's better than being too broad. And if you want to get it done in reasonable amount of time. I have students study with me in the same class. The topic at that time was so much. It took 4 years, still cannot finish the topic, and then gave up in the last minute and start redo it again. Oh, that's good. Because you are over among the research.
Could I also mention that perhaps there is a point of consideration here that in the old days, you could, anything that you could generically research today can be answered in a millisecond by artificial intelligence. That those kinds of topics be rejected by the thesis advisor, and that much more time and effort and dedication and commitment be put in by the thesis advisors of the future, and care to ensure that the student is not allowed to embark on research that could be easily answered by ChatGPT, and that the specificity of future henceforth future thesis statements be extremely guarded and carefully formed, so that we don't end up with a situation where you're doing common sense. What, because just now you mentioned, I love that idea about this guy in the helicopter saying, oh, there's more traffic around at intersections. That's common sense to us now. But there are lots of things that are common sense in the AI world.
Yes.
You needn't have to waste 4 years and maybe $30,000, $50,000 just to do something that the AI can do within 8 seconds, right? So even before the pen hits the paper, even before you go to the library, even before you search for that topic, the advisory must be, perhaps there needs to be a new research on advisory, how to advise students, so that we don't waste the students' time writing about nonsensical things that, as you say, there are thousands, tens of thousands of people who did it in the last 50 years. But let's write about things that are so unique to the student, his or her own gifting,
that cannot be replicated by anybody or anything, any machine. That was just my thought, that today, thesis advisors today must be highly skilled in identifying a true thesis statement and something that is pseudo thesis. Apocryphal, it doesn't even exist.
It's the, that would be an ideal. The reality is that professor would never give you a topic that you want to study. So you come up with your own, interest to work on. That's one thing. They never do, because unless it's come out of your own interest, you won't have enough motivation to do it. Maybe you can just do it just to pass the requirement of the degree. You never get any excellence out of it. You're not interested in. Yes, one thing. Second thing is that once you get your topic accepted, then he can give some thought about it. He will listen to you as a student, what do you want to do on this, what aspect you want to tack on, but then he would give some suggestions. That is the role of the lesson. If the student use AI to submit it to the professor, and then he will feel impressed in the first place. But now the professor can use AI also. You can give you an advice from AI. So nobody is working, student is not working, professor is not working, AI submits proposal, AI give feedback, and that would be the tragedy. Or that technology, it will not advance anymore. That way.
Can I ask you, Dr. Krisha, in all your years,
Yes.
was there one thesis that stood out to you, and why?
Okay, it's a good question. Let me think about it. I think there is one, and I want to work for you. Nice and study on the topic of risk management to prevent the risk of errors, both military and commercial. That was an excellent piece of work, and I still remember his face. But it's too bad that this helicopter that you put, they are going to do that. Maybe the risk management in health. I know because he married to one of my students also. It's working back. Now she was small babies. But the time is good. Things like this happen that give a special flavor in the family. So they asked his wife, his widow wife, if you want to work in the Air Force, we have a position for you. Wow. Now she's becoming Air Force officer. Just like in the one that we just had through from the Air Force.
Can I ask, why do you think that was a good thesis? What struck you about it? Could you derive certain learning objectives from that?
Okay.
Why?
First of all, the work is get a lot of benefits from his study, the Air Force. Second, he did a very comprehensive literature at that time. There's no AI. And then third, his theoretical background is for the months. You have to know the subject thoroughly before you proceed to write about it. And then again, data analysis and it's done in very perfect fashion. I think I nominated his work to get an award or something, but he didn't get it. because it has to go through a series of committees. Some people are not interested in environment. So they don't see that it is useful for the community, not useful for the particular organization. But anyway, that is, so your thesis can be good if the topic that you study is very useful. And you are very well grounded in this field. And also, you study solely about that subject before. How many people have done this management research in Thailand? We just summarize almost all of it. That is the that's all the data collection. So that there's so many of them. I have advised close to 100. So I cannot really work. After my retirement, I have this always was so stuck. I get here to the library, and they said I already have a copy. I just left it in my office.
Run through AI.
But right now, situation is different. This situation will be totally different with the help of AI.
Yes.
You can do any topic, but first it must be from your own interest. You cannot just do it from the AI interest. Yeah, machine interest doesn't work. So you have to start thinking what is really that you want to work on, you want to do research for your master's thesis. There are many types of research that you can do. I have to pass slide for you two main types. One is what we call the experimental research. Once you get an idea, you can apply this idea to working like to work along that line. And another one is the survey research, which involves sampling techniques and things like that. But if you want to do historical research, you don't need these two types of research. But these two types of research has some S in also. See about research methodology.
In our context, it's consumer. Our value statement, going back to our value statement, is that we call gifted individuals. Discover genius through modalities. And their Southern foundations has led to a profile of the students as being typically not from so well-to-do families, and somehow through the providence of the Lord, led them to a place of ministry in a frontier kind of setting, sometimes in a very rural or a very frontier setting, which would mean that the communities that these candidates are situated would have many problems surrounding the development of education, of finance, poverty, and so on and so forth. So it's social structure change issues in a red light district, in a inner city setting, among abused women, etc. Is there any way that a topic could be derived from the actual work that's being done, just like the helicopter pilot? He wrote about his life. He wrote about what made it so memorable in your mind was that he himself was a pilot and he's writing about things related to his vocation or his passion. So what about for ministers on the front lines, Christian service?
Certainly, yes. It can be done. From your own experience, you can explain it why it matters. That your experience. It's just not because of, just the sake of your experience, but your experience is valuable to other, ministers also. You can, constitution, and write about it, that you face, and how you survive. I don't know, many things. Write something about yourself is not wrong. It could be, but provided that it's interesting, it's useful, and it's worth studying. It's not just, anything, but some particular. And then you can document, the certain situations that I would say perhaps there are many miracles happening in the Northeast. It's too bad that nobody documents it. Like the deaf can hear, the blind can see, the lame can walk, and but the people were just so excited and they came to Christ and nobody documented. Someone that would document this type of thing, and it's proof. Why not? It's good. In Thailand right now, that's very interesting place in the northeastern, that's the province of the country. There's a big revival. You can see people being baptized 400, 500, 800 of them. Has never happened in Thailand. I wanted to go there, but it's not possible to go one day trip, is too far away. So I kept postponing and postponing because of uncertainty in situation of uncertainty doesn't allow me to go that far. But anyway, this is interesting. Interesting things like this can be written in provided that you have theoretical framework to analyze why it happened and why it doesn't happen, tell us why it happened.
I think we probably need to take a break soon, but when we come back,
Yes.
After the break, perhaps you could elaborate, if it is appropriate, on the question of the difference between when we say graduate research, and when you talked about documenting a revival, or the word documentary. I hear this a lot on TV. I'm watching a documentary.
Yes.
And then what is it just a matter of telling a good story that is realistic and is based on the research? So what is the connection between the two?
Okay. When it comes to the types of research, it depends on the criteria that we use to differentiate them. If you base on your study on documents, only you read, you search, you call that type a documentary research. You don't need sophisticated statistical analysis, just documentary. That's good reading. And then you don't have your own real life experience. You study from reading, that's called documentary research. But if you go and observe, that become a field research, and then you can do it in many different forms. Because sometimes they divide. There are two types of research: qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative, the sample could be very small, but quantitative, sample has to be large, and then you try to find some common, something in common, and we send it to the people. So it depends. It could be basic research, pursue knowledge only, or applied research. You want to make use of that research in terms of manufacturing in terms of policies, those type of things. In Thailand, government does not grant very much money for the basic research. Research has to be applied. You have to have some usefulness of this in real life, and then you can apply for the grant. But if you say, I want to just build up building a theory of this and that, or I want to just test the theory that has been done a long time ago, and you apply for the grant, that is very slim that you get. 98% of my research is applied in policy science, policy analysis, because that's the grant rules are strict, not to forbid, but remember the group of Chiang Mai study, people from Chiang Mai study. I did research for them. We call that development policy. The cleaning of Chiang Mai at that time. What you see how Singapore did that, and then to went to Singapore. And the department is the Department of Environment. So they received us very well. And then I translated the lecture from the very high ranking official of that department. But he was a former professor of the steel technology or something. But I tracked him through the work that he published. That's how I could read, I could write to him. He agreed to give a talk on that particular model. But that is applied. My work is applied. We did 5-year planning for Chiang Mai municipality, and then we did 15 years or 10 years planning for the city and for Chiang Mai province also. These things is called applied research. It's not basic. It's not pure research for the sake of gaining new knowledge. But the experimental one is very interesting. I want you to understand, and you can make use of it with the Christian faith also, but there is also some limitation. Once you understand the concept, and then you can apply it when you want to do it in the future. Yes.
So I wanted to report that my state of mind is very peaceful ever since putting on this collar. And I'm wondering maybe I can do research on the effects of uniform on clergy.
That would be expensive.
But it could also be lack of copies. So I'm wondering whether we could take a copy.
Yes. Let's have a copy breakdown, and when we come back, we will talk about the experimental design. How can you make use of this in your research? But I think I'm gonna ask if I could borrow Lian's computer, because